Germany and France have had such a close relationship for so many years. So what kind of effect might all of this have on that relationship?
Well, remember, France takes over the rotating presidency of the European Union on January the 1st. They have an agenda with two big items. One is to push European defense. The French felt very disappointed by the US in the way it withdrew from Afghanistan, and of course very betrayed by the US and Australia in the submarine crisis. So those events have pushed France towards making a new attempt to create an EU defence, a kind of autonomous strategic EU defence. The French are going to need the Germans to push forward with that, though. Equally, the French want to focus on economic recovery post-COVID. For that, they need to have the Eurozone budget deficit rules loosened. They will need the Germans for that as well. And the shape of the next coalition of Germany is going to directly affect French efforts on both of those issues, both defence and on economic growth. For a little bit more detail on that, let's listen now to Clément Beaune, the French Secretary of State for European Affairs, reacting to the events in Germany this morning.
All the parties, at least those that are likely to form a coalition, are proudly pro-European. But there'll be differences between France and Germany, and bilateral talks may be difficult in the next few months. We don't agree on everything, and the disagreements could vary depending on which party ends up in the German coalition. It's probably easier for us to talk about investment and budget rules with the SPD, and easier to talk about defence and security with the CDU.
So essentially, I think what he's saying is, France is ready to win some and lose some. If it ends up being a coalition with the CDU, then France might be able to push ahead on the European defence issue, perhaps less so on the relaxing budget deficits rules. If it's the SPD, then perhaps European defence will not be quite such a sharp priority going forward. But in terms of, Jeannie, how fast this whole European agenda can move forward, that is really very unclear. Firstly, we don't know how long it's going to take for Germany to form this coalition. In 2017, it took 6 months. So if that were to be the case again, we would be getting very close to the French presidential election. But let's just say that they surprise people, they form a coalition quickly within weeks. How far does that German coalition want to promise? What does that German coalition want to promise the French when they don't know who's going to be in power in France after May 2022? So lots of political uncertainty on both sides of this equation in France and in Germany.
Armen, thanks for that.